Hello and welcome to today's video. This is an updated video of one I did quite a few years ago now, and it's going to go through the basics of probing. So, just to get started with, we are in a ship, but we will explain the types of probes that we have. So we have combat probes and core probes. So the difference between these two: combat probes will probe down everything. So if we open up our probe scanner, which you can get to by clicking here or closing it, and then we have our filters. So by having these ticked, this is effectively what we are going to be able to probe down or show in our results. If we unclick anomalies, all of the anomalies will disappear and leave us with just the signatures. We're not focused on these ones because they are already probed. Well, they're not probed, but they're 100%. So combat probes will probe down everything. Core probes will probe everything apart from ships. So you can probe down abyssal traces. So you can't probe structures, but you can probe cosmic signatures and anomalies. Now the main difference between combat and core probes, apart from being able to probe down ships and structures, are the strength of the probes, but also the range as well. And as you notice, we do have two types of probes for each. So we have the base probes, which are these top ones, and then the faction variants. So the difference between the faction variants is they do tend to be stronger in base strength. So if we look at the base strength for the core probe, it's 40 points. If we look at the sister core probes, we've got a base strength of 44. So we're going to be able to find things a little bit easier. The other main differences between core and combat is also the base range. So the base range is, we can go down to a 0.25 AU scan on core probes. On combat probes, you can only go down to 0.5. So combat probes may not be as effective for probing down signatures as the core probes, but core probes can't probe down ships. And finally, we have two types of launchers. We have an expanded probe launcher and a core probe launcher. The difference between the two is core probe launcher will only fit core probes. Expanded probe launchers will fit both core and combat probes. Now, let's get started. Let's actually drop some probes. And with our scanner open, we've got all of these signatures. We've got how many probes are deployed. We've got the formations here, which we can change the probes into, the range or the size of the probes, and a few extra functions such as being able to recover your drones. Note that if you do jump out of a system or if your probes are due to expire, as you can see here, these will expire in 1 hour 7 minutes. They will automatically be recalled into your ship. The only time they do not automatically recall is when your ship blows up, and that's purely because you no longer have a ship. So everything within these blue bubbles is how everything that's going to potentially be within the scan range. Now when you first jump into a system, these signatures will kind of be a little bit hazy, quite wide. So it's effectively saying that this signature could be anywhere within this red sphere. So we need to kind of narrow that down a little bit. Now, in terms of the types of formations, so we do have this formation, which is quite wide. It's not going to get it to 100%. In order to get it to 100%, you do need a minimum of 3 to 4 probes from different directions to be able to triangulate the location. My favorite is at this point, here we go, for probing stuff down. Now, a quick shortcut: if you hold Alt and wheel up or down on your mouse, you can change the size of your probes. Now, I typically start off with 8 AU. With any signatures, they typically spawn within 5 to AU of any planet. So we know that we're not going to get anything spawning over here because it's over 5 AU from the planet. So if we center on the sun to start with, move our probes to the middle, start off with 8 AU, and then that just helps narrow down the location of all the signatures. So we know that they have to be within a certain distance. So there we go, we've got a slightly more accurate result. Now you've noticed we do have two types of symbols, shall we say. So we've got a solid circle here, and the spear has disappeared. So we've got a spear over here still. So we can see that whole red spear has disappeared. And effectively what that means is we've near enough narrowed down the location. So we know it's going to be somewhere around here within an AU or so. When we get over, I think it's about 30%, it should turn orange and at least tell you what the signature is. So wormholes will have this symbol as well. Gas will have this, data and relics will also have their own symbol as well. Now if we left click on the signature, it will center this in the middle of our screen. Now that we've done a general kind of scan at 8AU, we're going to center this in the middle. We are going to go down to about 2AU now. Depending on your skills, you can skip out distances. You don't need to go from 8, 4, 2. If you've got your scanning skills up a little bit, you can skip these out and it speeds the whole thing up. And I can typically go from 8, 2, and then that will get me at about 100% on most things after that. There we go. So on the second scan, we now have this wormhole at 100%. Now we know that this one was a gas site. If you notice, it's now gone down to 0% because in our last scan it wasn't in the in its radius. So let's do another 2AU scan on this one, and hopefully this will be 100% or close to it. There we go, we got another one at 100%. So all of these that have a solid white line and no longer have a spear, I can do at 2AU, and I know I'm going to be pretty close to it and enough get the result that I want. Now this one is going to be a little bit different. Now this is a spear. If I put this on 2AU, there's a good chance it's not going to budge. I'm not going to get anything for it. And the same with this one. If you notice, they're actually X's rather than a solid dot in the middle. Up, and there we go, we got another wormhole. So for these ones, I'm going to go up to the planet that they are closest to. So this is closest to this planet. I'm going to go back up to 8AU, click Analyze, and this is just going to narrow down where within this spear that signature actually is. Ah, there we go. So we've narrowed it down a little bit, and we should get that on the next one. You'll also notice that this one hasn't gone from a spear, but it's now gone to a circular motion. So for that one, we know it's over here somewhere. So we'd have to go back up to an AAU and scan over here to actually get the signature. So this one we actually haven't got 100%, and it's a data site. Data sites do tend to be a little bit harder to probe depending on the level of the site. So rather than going down to 1, we've skipped 2 levels again, and we've gone down to 0.5 AU this time. Now remember, as we're using core probes, we can go down to 0.25. If we're using combat probes, this is as low as we'd be able to go. And that's it for today's video. Just a quick update.